Bulls Nation, today we've got a little bit of a more interesting video to discuss with you in relation to the Chicago Bulls. And overall, we've seen rumors of the Chicago Bulls in all the ways they can get some of these players. But something that I have not really talked about yet is the potential to trade in the NBA draft. Do the Chicago Bulls want to trade into this draft? And is it a good option for the Chicago Bulls? So without further ado, we're going to be answering both of those questions in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got a Chicago Bulls related video, and this one is referring to the NBA draft. Again, I didn't really think I would be making another NBA draft video in relation to the Chicago Bulls, but we've seen some rumors in the past about the Chicago Bulls potentially trading into this draft class and potentially trying to get someone in this NBA draft class, specifically the first round of this NBA draft class. And I feel like it'd be important to share my opinion on the matter and whether or not it's a good option for the Chicago Bulls. But before I get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the NBA draft period. At the end of the day, this was something that was such a big important factor for us towards last season, and again, a lot of those videos that I made were very impactful, very meaningful, because it really could have decided our future depending on who we got, and we ended up getting Patrick Williams. So to neglect the NBA draft is a very hard thing to take, in my opinion, because again, I've really enjoyed those videos back in the day. However, unfortunately, at this point in time, we are not in the first round of the NBA draft. We had to give up our pick to the Orlando Magic since it did not get into the top 4. So we don't have a lot to discuss in relation to this. However, if the Chicago Bulls want to trade into the draft and the first round of the draft, in my opinion, I feel it's important to discuss that and discuss the implications of doing such things for the Chicago Bulls. So, first things first, it's very important to identify where and if the Chicago Bulls can trade into this NBA draft class and whether or not it will be an impactful move for them. So, in my opinion, when you're looking at the draft class, especially trading in, I think it's going to be very difficult to trade into the lottery, especially the early lottery. Obviously, 1 through probably 6 or 7 will be very difficult to trade into. Maybe the later parts of the lottery where you go maybe pick 13 to maybe pick 15, a little bit easier. But late first round is probably the easiest, in my opinion, that you could probably go into the NBA draft class and actually get a player out of there without giving too much of our own. And I think that's the main important factor here. For the Chicago Bulls, they have the decision to make. Do you want to give everything? Do you want to give up a whole lot of assets to go into the very early part of the first round and get a player that you believe will be impactful for this team? And when I mean a lot, I mean players like Kobe White, maybe even a player like Patrick Williams. That's very important, in my opinion. That there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of players that you could be involved with when it comes to trading into the very early stages of the NBA draft. And I'm talking about those 5th picks, those 4th picks, the 6th pick, even close to the 2nd or 3rd pick. Those, in my opinion, are very hard and unattainable, in my opinion, for the Chicago Bulls. So I don't see that being a viable option. I don't see that being the main course of where the Chicago Bulls are going to be headed. And unfortunately, we had to give up that pick. We would have got the 8th pick for the Orlando Magic, and we had to give up that pick. So I don't see us getting anywhere from 1st to 8th. However, if the Chicago Bulls want to make a trade into the draft, it's all about who they're going to give up. Because in my opinion, we have some assets that we can give up, and they could very well be good assets to give up to get into the NBA draft. For example, Thaddeus Young, I believe, has 1 year left on his deal, and he has played tremendously well for the Chicago Bulls. However, if they don't see the progression or the future in Thaddeus Young, he's a potential trade option for the Chicago Bulls, and he will be a very good one, in my opinion, as well. So that is someone to consider. Satoransky's killing it in his, I guess, qualifiers for the Olympics. He made a buzzer beater. He had a fantastic game, and he beat a Canadian team, I believe, with a lot of NBA players when he was the only one on his team. That's big. If he continues to have that style of play in his country, his trade value will increase, and it's already at a decent level now. He's another player that could be discussed in relation to this. Even a sign and trade for Larry Markkinen down the line. Probably not for this draft class, but again, we have assets on our side for any trade that we decide to do, and it's very important to take that seriously. So I'm not opposed to trading into this NBA draft class. It all depends on who we give up. So if we're going to go for a late first round pick for the Chicago Bulls, I don't want to give up a Satoransky or a Thaddeus Young for the late first rounder. I would rather see us give up a player that's not necessarily used a lot and probably a few second rounders, rather than giving up a mainstay on the team while also potentially giving up other assets. It's very difficult for the Chicago Bulls to do and to trade into. However, it's possible, especially towards the late first round. You're going to have teams that are contending. You're going to have teams that don't necessarily need more players on the team. You're going to have players that might not want to be on a team that could be contending because of their game time. That's where the target, in my opinion, should be for the Chicago Bulls, and that's the easiest avenue to put into the NBA draft. It's, in my opinion, the mid to late first round is where I see the Chicago Bulls trading into. I don't see the lottery. Unfortunately, the lottery is just a hype dream in my opinion. I feel it'll be very, very difficult to trade into the lottery, considering there are a bunch of teams that are still really close to wanting to make that playoff push, like ourselves, but they can't get there. And unfortunately, there are too many teams in that category. And unless someone doesn't want to draft someone, if some team doesn't want to draft a player, that's maybe where I could see a potential swap of a first round pick. However, it's a bit difficult. In my opinion, we're looking at a late first round pick, and that could be very good for the Chicago Bulls. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Artorias has drafted very well for other teams in the NBA. This is his first year for the Chicago Bulls. He's drafted Patrick Williams, who I think many people believe is a terrific pick at this point in time. And the future will only know whether or not it's an amazing pick at the 4th overall pick. Also, we've drafted a player that hasn't played in the NBA yet, in Marko Semenovic, and he could potentially be a good player for us as well at the center position. So it's not all, I guess, amazing in terms of the draft, but if we can find a hidden gem, if we can find a player that is ready at the NBA level, if we can find a player that's not necessarily the most touted player, not necessarily the most highlighted worthy player, but a player that's ready and a player that can be something in this league, from the first round, even early second round, late second round, you can find hidden gems anywhere if you look hard enough and you have the right people in charge to give you the aspect and to give you the willingness to make that draft, to give that guy a chance, and also to progress him at the right way. So I am very excited to see what's going to happen in terms of the Chicago Bulls, if they're willing or not to trade in the NBA draft for the 2021 draft class. Again, as I mentioned before, and I'll repeat myself again, the lottery I don't see happening. I don't see us trading into the lottery, but I can definitely see a way we can trade into the first round without giving up a whole lot of assets to do so. And that is where I see the money going for the Chicago Bulls. I do believe we have a second round pick as well. So we may discuss potential second round picks at the end of the day. If there are links out there, maybe I'll discuss them. But until something viable happens, until it's official that we make a trade or we end up trying our very best to get into the draft class any means necessary, I'm not really going to make videos about who should we draft, because I just feel like that's a bit of a stretch. Until we have a first round pick, I don't see myself wanting to make videos on players that we may never ever see on the Chicago Bulls. And yeah, so I'm not going to make should we draft this guy, should we draft that guy. I'm not going to do that until we have a pick that we can talk about. But with that being said, I'm going to end this video here. Once again, my answer is, let's see what happens. Late lotteries, late first round pick is where I see the Chicago Bulls heading. Teams that don't want to pick anybody, teams that are contending, that not really need for a rookie. Those are the teams that I see us taking advantage of. And if we can find the hidden gem there, then ladies and gentlemen, it just goes to show that a good front office, a good management team can take you many, many places. So let's see what happens, and let's see if that's a good opportunity for the Chicago Bulls. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. Sorry for the relatively short video. Again, I've repeated myself a lot in this one as well, but we will wait and see. Fingers crossed. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned. Take care, and peace.